just do that. Thanks again for joining this time. Um, Last part of the year, I think a lot of people have already. It's already the last week of working, or maybe last week was the last week for this holiday period. We just want to share a couple of updates based on what we have done. Around a week ago that we launched DriveMate 2.0, and we just want to give a couple of updates of things that you can expect from us, what has happened, and see where we're going. Now, the couple of topics for today is certainly DriveMate 2.0, all the things that we talked about the previous time, with regards to a changed pricing model, different pickup process, monthly payouts, some T&Cs that have changed, and so on. So we had a couple of things that we wanted to do there. We want to talk about the updates that follow 2.0, 2.1, because obviously we did expect that after a thorough testing that everything could be as good as it is right now. But we also expected that probably there are some things that we need to improve on, which we already know, but we didn't want to wait for that. So there's a next version that comes out. What about pricing? We have changed the pricing, so that means also certain things are required from your end. And also we have some recommendations. We want to share some insights. Hourly pricing, as part of that, the T&Cs that we have updated, including BBI, what to expect for 2025 roadmap, and when we'll do the next Q&A. And of course, we want to see how interested everyone still is to do this on a regular basis, because in the end we see we are providing also a lot of details online, on the group, on our website, blogs that we have where we also share what we're doing. So we want to just show that we are always there for you and answer any questions, but we also understand that a lot of people are busy on different times in the evenings, and what we can do is we provide you through different channels with the information anyway. First of all, the launch, and I assume that everybody that's here on the call right now has already seen it, that we launched DriveMate 2.0 with all the different aspects of it. And the largest thing is that, let's say, the price has changed. We have a duration price, the day price that you set, and the hourly price that you set, and we also have a distance charge, just like Uber used to do it and Carnival used to do it. That's what we have as well. We launched that exactly a week ago on the 16th. So we've had a lot of trips already on this, and it's looking overall very, very promising and very good. Trip extensions work much better than before. Pickup process, drop-off process in general works well, but not yet 100%. So we still have some way to go. But yeah, so it's 1 week ago right now. Now, what was important and what still is important, that people had to update their app, hosts and also guests. Yeah, that has right now happened. So we see that people that want to book a trip right now, they must do it on the updated app, and that is all good. It's still possible right now that certain trips are being booked before DriveMate 2.0 went live. So that means these trips are still on the old system. But every trip that is being booked right now is new. We've done hundreds of trips on the new system. We fixed a few things with the update for DriveMate 2.1, and actually it just went live. The next version, where we saw there were some bugs, went live right now. So that means you can update your app, and that is also fixed. A few things that we saw, and it's in a minimal number of trips, but still you want to look at all the different edge cases, is that sometimes distance charges were not being applied correctly for guests. The transitioning of trips didn't go as expected. And we had some issues related to pickup and drop off. So some people didn't do a pickup, and it could be for certain reasons. Maybe people already had the car, they wanted to extend, maybe they didn't book it. So pickup did not happen. And if pickup did not happen, then you can also not do a drop-off in the system. And that means that we cannot auto-calculate how many kilometers were driven and all the problems with it, right? So we see that we need to get this up to 100%, that pickup and drop-off is followed. And also for you as host, it's important that you help us with that as well, because in the end, everything gets automated, then there will be less disputes, because in the end, everything gets auto-calculated. Now, what we do is we have changed the pricing model itself, right, with distance pricing and duration pricing. We did mention this already a couple of webinars before, that we were going to have 35 cents, 45 cents, and 55 cents per kilometer. When we launched it, and some of you noticed that, of which we are very grateful, that it was 33 instead of 35 cents. That was a mistake. And so that mistake we have corrected right now in 2.1. So right now you see that it's 35, 45, and 55, just as we said before. Yeah, there is one of the many things that you need to do, and sometimes certain things they can go wrong, and this went wrong a few days. Now that is fixed. Also in today's app, and also on the website, we show recommended prices per car. So what we basically do, and we want to show you how that exactly works, but what we basically do is we have tens of thousands of trips that were done, people that tried to book cars, people that did book cars in different locations, different models of cars, different durations of cars. And we just looked at, okay, analyze all that data and see what is the recommended price for a certain type of car. And that is what we've done. And on the next slide, we'll also show a couple of examples, but basically we have a recommended price for your car model. And I think it's important to see that you stick as close as possible. We have a recommended price range, that you're within the price range. That will help you get most out of your car, the highest returns on your car, because of course there's a combination of frequency, how many trip days, how many trips are being booked, how many days that's being booked, and what the price is. But we believe that if you stay within the recommended price range, that you'll make most money from your car. There will also be a blog that is written, and after this webinar, that will go out. We'll send an email as well with the recommended prices, because for each and every one of you, we just looked at how many cars do you have, and for each of these cars, we show you, is the price within the recommended price range, yes or no, and also did you have hourly pricing enabled, yes or no, and then we will put a link there as well, where you can see some insights on how important it is to set the right price. So there is a blog written. After this webinar, we'll send that out. You can have a look and see if you need to adjust anything. Now, a couple of things that are important for pricing. Yeah, I think everybody understands that pricing is a very important factor for people to choose a car. You don't want to have it too cheap. You don't want to have it too expensive. You want people to see the right value for your car. You need to look at, what is the car model that I have? What's the age of that car? Is it in what condition is it? What about the photos that I have of the car? Do I have any reviews that I have multiple trips on that car? Because that gives a bit of trust in that car. But of course, you also need to look at your local situation. I mean, local, really local within Sydney. It could be in the eastern suburbs. Like what are my competitors? If I have a Toyota Hiace and there are 50 more Toyota Hiaces, yeah, then that means there's a lot of competition. You need to be a bit stricter on your price. You need to look at what do competitors do, and that's not only on the DriveMate platform, but it could be on other platforms as well. It could be from rental companies. What do people offer? And you need to set the price accordingly. So we just recommend. It's not that you must follow that, but we do see based on data what is the right thing to do, and just take all these things into consideration. Now, one other thing that's important this time of the year. Obviously, right now, high season, people that want to pick up cars maybe for a longer period of time during the summer holidays, then the price could be slightly higher in certain areas and certain types of models that you have, because there is just more demand, right? So what we did is, with the analysis, we looked at the last couple of months, like how did it go what do we see from real data, and we're going to show you some examples here on the next slide, but we also have a blog with more examples of it. Now here are a couple of things. If you look on the top left, and by the way, if there are questions in the meantime, we'll hear it. We'll have a look at it and try to answer them straight away. But I think if you see top left, we have a lot of Toyota Hiaces, for example, on the platform. Now, what you basically see is that approximately 70% of all the trips that are being done are for Hiaces that are priced $70 or below. And you see less than $55, that is 19 or 18 or 19%. You see, I think 48, 49%, let's say close to 50% is priced between 55 and 70. But you also do have some Hiaces that are priced at a higher rate, even above $100. However, what you see here is that if you price it above $100, a very small percentage of total demand goes there. Obviously, you always look at what is the age of the car, how is the condition of the car, what is your location, are there many more Hiaces in that area, yes or no? But what you basically see here is all the Hiaces that are more than 7 years old. So this is not the younger ones, these are the relatively older ones. This is the distribution of trips that you see on the top left. Now on the right, you see more of a split graph in a way, right? You see utes that are 7 years or older, and basically you see some cheaper ones, right? Quite a good demand for the cheaper ones, less than $35 or between $35 and $50. But you also see some good demand between 65 and 80, and that is because a ute doesn't have, a ute is a ute, but some, let's say, different types that you have or can demand different prices. So in the end, you just need to look at, and I think that's the main recommendation, look in your local area, what competitors do I have, and then you can see how you can price it. But what we see in general, the ones that are priced like this, as per the recommended pricing, that is where you get most demand. Now, if you see on the bottom left, small, mid, and light cars, so for example, Corolla or a Polo or a i30 or a Barina, what you basically see here is that the sweet spot seems to be between $40 and $50 per day. So $40, $50 per day, that is where you see the vast majority of demand. Over 50% of the demand comes from that. And these are for cars that are younger. So these are the small cars that are younger than 7 years, right? So of course, if you have a car that is 2024, then maybe you can be a bit higher priced. If it's 2020, a bit lower. But what we basically see is all these cars that are considered young, 6 years or younger. What you basically see is the sweet spot is $40 to $50. Now, if you go to some mid-sized SUVs, an Outlander or a Forester or an X-Trail, what you see is that the price is between 50 and 60, which is it's a similar pattern as what you see for the small, mid, and light. Let's say the Corolla, you see a similar pattern, different price, $10 higher, but basically you see 50, 60 is where the sweet spot is. So we've done this for all these different cars, and if you look for your model, what does the pricing say? It basically shows where do we see most demand. That is where the recommended price range is. Were there any questions here? I saw a couple of questions. Are there any questions related to pricing so far? No. Okay.
I think one of the questions on pricing that came in from CH is that, and I think that seems to have been answered, but is this recommended pricing dynamic? That's the question. Will it change time?
Yes, I mean, dynamic, it is not static like it will be forever like this, because we will always look at what does data tell us and we change it. Is it as dynamic as right now as, for example, Airbnb has, where you can look per location at 5 o'clock and tomorrow at 2 p.m. that it will change? No, it is similar right now, but what we try to do is, at first, we try to update this every month. So we just see every month on how this goes. Again, we want to encourage you to look at how is your local situation. But we are building something where we can make this more dynamic and use more and more data. And that's what we constantly do. But for now, as said, we have set the prices of what we have seen over the last a couple of months basically, and what cars have done. So it is not like this forever, but it's not as dynamic that it changes every day. And the second thing is hourly pricing. Hourly pricing is also an important feature, and especially when we started with the pricing model with price per kilometer, we see that it's also really good for shorter trips. At this time of the year, also we see a lot of demand for shorter trips as well, and that means enabling hourly just means more demand. It's as simple as that. And of course, we understand the work that you need to do for it. It's also, you still need to hand over that key, or if you have keyless, then that is great. There's no problem. But what we do see is that people book trips and they keep extending. It's very common that people extend trips. So even if it's a shorter trip, that does not mean that I mean, certainly trips of 2 hours that doesn't happen, or it hardly happens. It's longer trips, but you see that people keep extending trips, and that's just good, right? So basically what we hope that you do yourself is just to enable it yourself, because what we are going to do, and this is the same when we said we are going to copy what Carnegie Zora and the UCS did when it comes to pricing, we're going to do the same thing. Hourly pricing is just mandated. So in the end, we're going to make it available for daily and for hourly. We'll do that next week, and then we switched it on, and we then also set a price. Now that hourly rate is the daily rate divided by 6. That's how we set your price, but you can change it if you want to, right? So like with everything, we don't force you a certain price. Recommended price, same thing. You can set the price. We recommend it based on data. We do the same thing for hourly. We set an hourly rate for you by default. You can change it if you want to. And if you want to right now, you can just enable it to set your own hourly rate, no problem. Yeah, and so as said, hourly rental is part of the platform. Yeah, if you really don't want hourly bookings, but again, there will be much more demand. But if you really don't want it, yeah, you switch off instant booking, and then you can accept or decline a booking. So that's basically how it is. Yeah, and the other thing is, from a recommendation, and this is a rule of thumb, is divide the daily rate by 6. But we recommend you not to go more than daily rate divided by 4. So let's say if your daily rate is $50, then we don't recommend you to say, okay, I'm putting the hourly price at $25 or something, or it's better to go 10 or below. Yeah, as mentioned, we did make a mistake on DriveMate 2.0. We had said that we do it at 35 cents. Right now, within a week, we were 33, and we updated it to 35. So that's from all the bookings that are happening right now. It's on 35, and again, you can also set your price at 45 cents if you want to. That is right now what it is: 35, 45, 55. That's what it currently is. And yeah, that's basically what we have. Another thing is what some of you, we know that some of you have seen it, and maybe not everyone, but if you go to our help center, you can see some updates on the terms and conditions. In the end, as we said, the goal is to make a platform that works for everyone, for you as hosts, for guests, for drivers, the TNCs anyway, because we changed the pricing model and everything that came with it. So that's what we've done, and we at the same time have looked at some of the policies that we have to make it a bit more elaborate. So when you look at damage policy, for example, we want to avoid any different interpretations of certain things. So we just wrote down for specific situation what happens. So if you want to have a look at it, here you have the links. As always, we will share this presentation. You can go to the links, but also you can go to the help center straight away, and that's what you see here, and you can just see terms of service, the pricing model, the fees and fines everywhere. You can see that. Now for now, we still have the so we call it all 2.0, right? Linked to DriveMate 2.0. We still have 1.0 policies as a reference. Why do we have that? We still keep that on the platform because the trips that have been booked prior to the launch of 2.0, they still work on 1.0. I mean, still, whenever you book that trip, we don't change the policies in the middle of the trip, obviously, right? So if you have booked it before, that still applies, and that's why they're on. When all these trips that were made on DriveMate 1.0, let's say if they are all completed, then we'll then we will delete 1.0 so we don't create any confusion. We had a tip from one of the hosts on our DriveMate Facebook channel, which was great. Yeah, there's some feedback that we as a group can all benefit from. One of them was, hey, can we be a bit more clear about if we are interested in BVI between booking insurance, what that means before I sign up. Of course, what we say, and what is also still the case is you can sign up. You still have the option to cancel within 20 or 21 days, no questions asked. So you can always do. But what we have done right now is a summary of that insurance, even clearer how the policy would look like if you sign up. Minus, of course, the name and your car and your model and etc. What we need to put on the system anyway. That is right now readable. It's added as a PDF, so you can just check that out. And so
the other,
sorry,
just to jump in quickly, the other thing that Dirk-Jan spent a lot of time doing, which you'll be able to see in the help center, is going through and standardizing the sort of fees and fines and the compensations that hosts get for different things. We had all sorts of different numbers and different levels. So those are now all at various tiers, $25, $50, $75, $100. They're all pulled together in one document, whereas in the past, I think they were spread a little bit throughout our help center. So I would urge you guys to go into the help center and have a look at the fees and fines. And yeah, there's quite a few of them have changed, but I think you will get the clarity in that document that some of you have been asking for.
Yeah, and if there are any questions there, we're also very happy to answer them. I think we try to do as a platform, we try to make the transactions for rental as easy as it can be. We try to encourage guests to do what they're supposed to do a pickup in the system, do a drop-off in the system, return the car on time. And if they don't do it, it's a bit of a carrot and stick approach in a way. We try to discourage being late, right? And so that means what we see in that system is there are some penalties. And one question I saw earlier, like, hey, how does it work? DriveMate is asking X from a guest to pay if they are a second-time offender, and they only give us much less, let's say, to a host for that offense. Yeah, it is like that, right? So what we basically do is it's not an earning mechanism for you or for us. What we try to do is good and smooth transactions. And if people don't follow the rules, they are late. They are late once, sure, they get a penalty, and then we say don't do that again. And if that happens again, then we will try to discourage that by charging more. And in the end, that also means for us as a platform that obviously we need to go after that person, right? And if a person does it multiple times, then at some point you need to ban it, and that means there's a cost to the platform there as well. So yeah, we've tried to make this honest. Most importantly, it's all about getting smooth transactions and make this platform work. That is why we have built this. And as Ben said, we try to, where we sometimes had $20 and $30 and $40 and all these different things, we try to make that a bit simpler. If you look at the roadmap, and if we just looking back at where we were when Uber announced that they were going to exit the market and what we've done, we have seen, and we don't have to go through all these things here again because the people that have joined last times as well have seen this, but we have come a long way. Certain things are okay, certain things they still need improving, but Just a couple of things that I think that you can see here. What we have done is we made sure that the hardware from Uber is working on our platform. We said that the big thing was DriveMate 2.0 went live last week. D-Day, as we call it internally, 16/12. And right now, that means that was including a better pickup and drop-off process. We've seen demand increase. So where initially we heard many more hosts like, oh, where is the demand? We see right now that many more hosts are saying, oh, demand is getting to good levels. Of course, that still needs to continue and grow, and we're doing what we can there. But we certainly appreciate the patience of you hosts as well, because we understand that some things did not go well and are maybe still not where we are still not where we want them to be, but we are working on them. Is when we looked at, let's say, the change of the ticketing system, where you can see that for every single thing that you do, a ticket gets created with us, and you can see on the app or on the web what the status of a certain ticket is. Yeah, that you can imagine that what basically happened is that we got many more tickets created, and now we're resolving them, and we see that's happening. And hopefully you see that too. Still, we understand that it's not at a level where what you should expect from us, and also what we expect from ourselves. But we are working through it. We're getting better, and we're automating more things to get faster as well. And that is all that we have. I think I don't know if there's any questions, then we can try to take them. Graf, did you see any questions? Hi, David says, I'm well below your range and can't get bookings. That is strange. Obviously, it's not always about per se being below the range, and lower is better, because people also want to see value, and it could be that people think, oh, this is cheap, let's say, and therefore we don't want it. Possible. So that's a possibility, and I don't know right now about your specific listings, but we can have a look at it. It can also be a certain location. I don't know if there's a location that maybe we get less demand from.
Let me jump in there, Dirk-Jan, because I've been emailing backwards and forwards with David, and I am a little bit puzzled as to why he hasn't had bookings. He's done flyers and he's done local area marketing. He's done everything right. I've had a look at his listings. They're fine. So we're now having a look at his postcodes to see if we have any registered guests in his area. It's a big country town, and obviously every host is important to us, but country towns are an area where we want hosts to be able to operate profitably. So we're taking David's bookings gap fairly seriously. We do not want to be city centric by any means. David, we're still on that, and what we will do, whatever we discover there, we will come up with a plan for it, and then we will roll that out to other towns around regional Australia.
Yeah, but one thing maybe on exactly. So we need to see what we can do there, and that's where the focus of the marketing money goes in that sense. And there's still certain things that we can do. So as Ben said, we will have a look at that. The thing about is this the data that we use, is that up-to-date data? Yes, it certainly is, because we just look at, if we look at the last 50,000 trips or so, we just look at what's happening, and what do we see on average. And right now we've used all those trip data where we give for a Hiace, for example, the same price right now for Sydney as for Melbourne or for Cairns or for where your car is, but that could still be different, right? So what we'll do is we'll optimize that model as well when it comes to locations. But right now we've used up-to-date data of the last so many trips until end November. Yeah. I see another question of Sandy. On the receipt, we currently see distance charge without the total kilometers being displayed.
Yeah, I think we just responded to that, Sandy. I know you raised that point to me earlier. We in the current release, in the release that has gone out today, it should fix that for your upcoming trips. If you don't see it still, do let us know. But we have tested it at our end. It has been fixed for all your upcoming trips.
Yes. Okay, I see another question from Ramir is about and I think it's about extension. So should guests extend before the end of the trip? Yes, they should. What we have done is right now still there is a possibility for us for guests basically to extend still when the trip has officially when it has ended, when the scheduled time is over. And that is what we had done to make this transition. But over time, we are going to be much more strict, and it basically means if you're late, you're late, and then there's a late penalty, and that means you need to extend before the end of the scheduled time. Right now, we still have that time. We saw that, for example, with Turo, and we did that same thing at a time where people were able to extend a couple of hours after the trip was scheduled to end. But we want to educate people to extend earlier, otherwise there is a late payment fee or a penalty. And that means that extending after scheduled time that should stop. I don't know when we have that exactly scheduled yet from a timing point of view, but we know that it's something that we'll do in the upcoming versions.
Yeah. So right now, the guests can extend up to 6 hours after the trip ends. However, so let's say the trip was supposed to end at 3 o'clock. They can extend up to 9 o'clock, in the sense that they can send an extension request between 3 and 9 also to any time till the time the car is available. We are going to stop that pretty soon, possibly in the next update, that people will have to extend before the trip ends. I do acknowledge that there are still some lingering issues with trip extensions. Although I would like to say that when we started, we were at 90% success on trip extensions. We have pushed back to 97, 98, but there's still 1 or 2% cases wherein we do see some complications with regards to trip extensions. We do acknowledge that. We are trying to fix that, and that remains our priority because it's a revenue generator for both the host and us. So we want to ensure that is well taken care of. So yeah, that is something that will be sorted. The one point I wanted to reiterate, and I think we should do that on the group as well, is that your old trips, most of your old trips, let's say on DriveMate 1.0, have still been paid out on trip-to-trip basis. Your trips on DriveMate 2.0 will get paid out on a monthly as part of your monthly cycle. So the first statement. The first monthly statement for December and the previous months that you will receive around the first week of January, end of first week of January, that you will receive the monthly statement for December. You will see what are the trips that you should have been paid for December, what has already been paid for, and what is the balance, right? And that we'll pay you in one go let's say, I think we have said 9th of January, if I'm not wrong, Ben, and
Yes,
that is what gets paid to you on 9th of January, the balance. Same cycle then in January, February, March, April. Yeah. So that is what happens. Let us know if there are any concerns on that. On Paulo's question, I just see the question. Ensure that borrowers do have access to lock the car on auto if they're ending the trip at the end of drop-off. So currently the process is very simple, guys. We have now made sure that the moment they complete the trip, the car gets auto-locked immediately. And the other is that the owners have access for lock unlock during the trip as well. That is what we had promised a few sessions back, and that has also been provided. So I don't know, I'm not sure where yeah, and Paolo's question, record the timestamp when borrowers submit their pickup and drop off. We have those timestamps. We do record those timestamps, Paolo. And one of the reasons we record those timestamps, so the way the system works is this. Your trip's supposed to start at 10 o'clock. And let's say you send the pickup at 11 o'clock. We record the distance from 10 o'clock, not from 11 o'clock. Right? But we still store the timestamp of pickup sent at 11 o'clock. Let's assume the trip was supposed to end at 5 o'clock. You sent the drop off at 7 o'clock in the evening. It was supposed to end at 5 o'clock in the evening. We sent the drop off at 7. We store the timestamp of 7 and we calculate the distance traveled till 7, not till 5. Right? So we do store those timestamps. In the next or the subsequent update, we will show those timestamps to the owners as well. I do acknowledge that those timestamps need to be shown to you. We're just making sure that and just to give you, we're just making sure that the UI and all looks decent for the hosts to look at. So you will see the scheduled pickup and drop off time. You will see the actual pickup and drop off times as well, both on your trip page and your monthly statements.
Yeah, I see a question from JP as well. Clarity around the $25 per day. Oh, I don't see the question anymore. But basically, when do I get $25 per day, or is there any clarity needed? Now, basically, if the car, when there's damage to the car, you just get a loss of use until the car is returned, or if there's a write-off and basically we have basically sent, let's say, the payment, the proposal of the total payout. Until that time, and there's a 14-day cap, you will be paid out. So I don't know if there was any confusion. I think you were referring, but I don't see a comment right now, but referring to confusion with the support team. If there is anything specific, right now there is a damage policy. That damage policy, that is how it works, and that's what it is. As said, I don't know if this was a DriveMate 1.0 trip that you were referring to, or the 2.0, but actually that I think policy did not change. I mean, we've just written it down very clearly from when to when it happens. So just have a look on the help center at policies and damage policy, and that's where it explains how it should be. And if support teams say any different, then that is basically the policy that we can refer to, and that's what it is. So if JP, if there's if there still is a problem, I don't know about your specific case, but just let us know, because that's the policy, and we just try to clarify it in the damage policy.
Thanks, Tokyan. A couple of questions I've got from some other channels. Is under DriveMate 2.0, what are we using for the kilometer reading? Is it the odometer? Is it the primary GPS? Is it the autoplug? Where do we take that data from?
I will answer that question. We primarily rely on the GPS, right? That's our first. So when I say GPS, it could be the primary GPS or the autoplug, whichever your car is fitted with, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there could be a case where the GPS malfunctions. We know that from feedback, and there could be a case where the guest has taken the GPS out or the GPS didn't function for whatever reason. In that case, we default to the odometer. So odometer is a backup, not the main source of data. However, if your car is on a key, if your car does not have a primary GPS or autoplug, we only rely on odometer, which is why the JX team has been pushing for everyone from non-GPS cars to move to GPS cars, right? Because GPS, of course, definitely far more reliable. But we do run some backend checks between the odometer readings and the GPS readings, because if there is way off between the GPS readings and the odometer readings, our team does go and inspect it. Why there is a difference between the two? If there is let's say more than 15% difference between the two, our team does go back and check. Why is there a difference?
So if a host has, and this is actually a live issue with a particular host, if a host is for their trip receipt is showing less kilometers than they think that their car has been driven, what should they do? Ultimately,
we'll rely on the GPS. Ultimately, if the GPS has not failed as per the system, it will always be the GPS. If the GPS we know has failed, then we'll rely on the odometer. I mean, there can be only two sources of truth, right? And the main source of truth still remains the GPS. So if the
And will
GPS
the
has been fully
GPS?
functioning, if the GPS has been fully functioning as per the system, as per our system, it has not, the voltage hasn't dropped to 0 during the trip, and etc. etc.
Yeah.
And then we just go by what the GPS has told us always.
Okay, so we can see when a GPS is unplugged and then
Of course.
plugged back in again.
Of course, we do see that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Another question in the same sort of vein around GPSs, which is around batteries.
Yeah.
I've seen some hosts sharing screenshots of the app telling them that their GPS batteries are critical. Is that going to be the primary or more likely the secondary?
Actually, now this question tells me that we need to change the UI. It is the car battery, not the GPS battery. Because what your app tells you is the status of your car battery, not your GPS battery, right? So first of all, it's extremely important that to understand that battery being shown there is the GPS or the auto plug, primary GPS or the auto plug relaying the battery level of the car, right? So we just need to maybe make a Joel maybe make a note of this, saying that we need to clarify in the UI that's a car battery, not this. Secondly, we are working on a set of notifications for the hosts, wherein to tell them the car battery and the GPS batteries, etc., when something goes off, so that we can tell them, right? That is something that we are working on right now, on notifying hosts.
Does that mean, flipping that around, does that mean that if the GPS battery is critically low, we don't get an alert? DriveMate doesn't. We can't see the GPS.
DriveMate knows it, but the hosts don't currently see it, and that is the point I'm making. That we need to clarify to the hosts on both the GPS batteries and the car batteries.
So Ramir has just said, I've got this message, battery critical, but he doesn't think his car battery is low. Is it possible that in his case it is the GPS battery? No, definitely not. Okay.
I mean, the primary GPS and also the auto plug, it's connected to the OBD in the car in that sense. When there is a secondary GPS, that can be as batteries, it's battery powered, right? So.
But again, what also ends up happening is auto plug and both the primary GPS have a backup battery of themselves as well, their own. So if you plug it out, it still has a battery of its own. So then the battery that you are being shown on the app is the car battery and nothing else. So if your car battery is showing incorrectly as critical, let us know for us to check. The ground team has to check it.
Yeah, Paolo's just said all of his cars are currently showing battery critical, which sounds.
That sounds weird.
Unlikely to be.
Let me get that checked. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Paolo.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe one more thing to say about this GPS is when I was thinking about primary and secondary GPS is when you do have that. We also know that if the primary GPS is taken out, or let's say somebody takes it out, then automatically we get alerted, and then the secondary GPS will start pinging more often. And so we basically also know that is also the whole idea of the secondary GPS, to have it in. If somebody tampers with your primary GPS in that case, then we'll activate the secondary GPS as well.
JP had a question around the $25 a day for undrivable compensation, which Dirk-Jan, I think you can clarify as per our updated terms of service.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I couldn't find that one earlier, but yeah, basically from the moment that there is a loss of use when the car is damaged until that is repaired, there's a cap of 14 days. You need to get paid, and that's how it is. And of course, there are some exceptions if, let's say, you as a host are delaying it yourself, right? In that sense, that is too bad. But basically, if the car is being repaired at the workshop and returned, then that's how it goes. So basically, it's just explained, I think, quite detailed in the damage policy. Just have a look there, and that's what's leading.
Yeah. JP also had some feedback, which I actually really agree with as a host, about the app sending more notifications around bookings, extensions, returns, messaging, battery, GPS. Obviously, we don't want the app to bombard hosts with data, but as now we've done the major change to 2.0, we can start looking at refinements like that and working out exactly what push messaging the app should send, and DriveMate 2.4 or 2.5 or 2.6 might be where hosts are actually then able to customize what alerts that they get,
100%.
Yeah.
Our goal is to move towards customization of notifications, wherein you can
Yeah.
define what kind of notifications you want to receive or not. That is where we want to move to. Obviously, that is some distance to travel. And yeah, so point noted. We want to make sure that you get the most necessary notifications only. So one of the things, by the way, we met a few hosts in Sydney a few weeks back, and actually one of the points was that the email notification should carry the car rego number
Yep.
in the subject line.
Agreed.
Right, that is going live. I think on day after tomorrow. In the next 48 hours, it goes live. So all your email notifications on your bookings will carry the car plate number in the subject line, because we heard some hosts saying they just want to know things in subject line, nothing else, so that they can sort it. So these are the small incremental changes we are doing. But your point is taken, JP. We need to customize this.
Gaurav, am I also right that we are working on getting the insights data piped into the app?
Yeah, the insights part is shit right now. We understand it, acknowledge it completely. And one of the reasons for that, and of course, no excuses there. There are two steps that we're working on. One of actually the reason for that one is that because since we are completely focused on transition from 1.0 to 2.0, so we put that on a back burner. But now what's going to happen is first your monthly statements need to go live. That is what we are working on priority, making sure that your December as well as the prior monthly statements go live. Immediately after that, the Insights tab will get populated with the correct data, not just for now, but for previous years as well, if you have been with us for longer than that. So that is completely in the works. So within the month of January, both of these things will get completely sorted out. Statements as well. Statements first, early January. I mean, first week of January, you have to give you the statement for December and previous months. And then after that, Insights.
Cool. Thank you. Just a quick note, guys, to everyone on the call, guys and girls, just around how we communicate changes. So you're going to get an EDM a little bit late, or a personalized email a little bit later tonight, with around pricing recommendation and hourly pricing. There's a blog. It links to a blog post that Dirk Jan's been writing today about Dirk Jan and Joel have been working on today. We'll replicate that on Facebook. I just wanted you guys to know that if there's some important news, we'll never just post it to Facebook or drop it in the chat. You will receive it by email and probably in Facebook as well. We don't try and use just one channel or the other. Go, oh, okay, that'd be nice that'd be nice on Facebook. We won't bother sending an email to hosts. Particularly where there's a significant change like switching on hourly pricing, that will come as an email to you. We try and send those. We try and make those fewer, bigger, better. We try not to send you too many emails. So hopefully when you do get one from us, it's worth reading. And tonight's one is definitely worth a read. And let us know any questions that throws up. Sandy had a question on the subject of email notifications. So she hasn't received one in a week. I'm not sure exactly what notifications.
I know what she's talking about. She's talking about the booking confirmation notification. Sandy, yes, apologies for that. I think there was this transition, so somebody did switch it off, and we are switching it back on with the correct subject lines of the rego number. So you should start getting them in the next 48 hours.
Amazing. And just in case people don't read our email later, there's a new app update that went live a couple of hours ago, Gaurav?
An hour back, yeah.
An hour back. So please update your apps again as soon as you can, so you are seeing the the latest version. Do guests need to update their app as well, Gaurav? Are there any guest changes, or is it more host?
Yeah, I mean, they will be prompted to update their app anyways. So it's best that we are trying to push everybody to the latest version of the app as we keep pushing out these changes. Uh, And what the good part is that we have now transitioned from DriveMate 1.0, wherein majority of the app trips were being done on the web. Now majority of the trips are being done on the app, which is a really good sign because that's a better user experience. And yeah, so they will be prompted to update their app anyway, so you don't have to worry about it.
JP, are we planning another meet and greet roadshow next year? Funny you should ask that. Funny you should ask.
Yes, we are.
Jake?
The answer is yes, absolutely we are. We're just finalizing the certain dates that we're going to proceed with, and we'll be doing another grand tour where we can have a chat with you all and then hopefully buy you a drink as well.
Yeah, I think we were going to do it in December, and that would have been absolute madness. Jake said no, let's do it in January. So we will do those. We will do those probably mid to late January, late enough so that we don't cut into people's holidays, but early enough in the year so that we can take on board everyone's feedback and do our very best to build as many requests as possible into our systems and our roadmap. So yeah, we really look forward to getting together with you, hearing how the summer's gone, hearing how DriveMate 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 by then has gone. Yeah, so those I think that timing will work well for those. And I think we'll do another one of these on Jan 6. If there's demand, if everyone's on holiday, we might bump that a week. But let's see.
It's a great comment there, JP. I also like beer. And that might be a note for us to start tying us up, but
yeah, JP's on his way to the pub. Look, we promised we wouldn't keep you too long today. I'm sure everyone's got stuff to go and do. I've got to go and buy a car myself to put on the platform before Christmas. So
Okay, are there any other questions?
I think we've covered most of the ones that have been dropped into the chat, Dirk-Jan.
Yeah. By the way, I saw one thing from JP on a specific case with let's say, how does it work if there is a cash settlement and loss of use, and still that should not be that. Then the loss of use should still be on top of whatever cash compensation is, let's say, for repair if you didn't want to do the repair. And I don't know if this applies to your specific one. I don't know, because that's the thing also right now, but also on the Facebook group, the few things that we see, and we understand that there is sometimes some frustration, but the one thing that we can't do is to really look at specific or individual cases there and then through that medium, and that's here also. I don't know about your specific case, but yeah, just I would say, because I see you said that Roxy didn't reply or hasn't replied since, maybe on that specific case with your own ticket, just share the policy, because it shows, right, what it is, and that's basically what it is. So if this trip was done on a 2.0, right, because as we said, we updated it based on when those trips were, just see it and just share that, and then that will be settled.
Ramirez, maybe lucky last question. Ramirez said, is the home zone fixed for pickup and drop off purposes?
Sorry, I don't understand what he meant by fixing, but the simple principle is that if your car has a GPS, then they will see an approximate location greater than 1 hour before the pickup time, and at 1 hour time, they will see the GPS location on the car. And for drop off, they will always see the home zone location. always, because we want them to go to the home zone.
I've got a feeling, this is just a guess, but I wonder if Ramir might be referring to a question I've seen from a few hosts over the last week or two, which is around checking, when the car is dropped off, do we check that it is dropped off to where it is supposed to be dropped off geographically?
Right. So good question. So if that is the question, the principle is this, that if you, while listing the car, if you mark your car as dedicated parking, then the person is asked to return the car at the same address as the original parking address, which is your home zone. Always pick up and drop off from home zone, exact address, dedicated parking. However, if it is street parking, which a lot of cars are, especially those equipped with GPS, in that case, the guest is prompted to return the car within 500 meters of the home zone address. If they are not within 500 meters of the home zone address at drop-off, they are not even allowed to send a drop-off request. They cannot complete the trip if they are not within 500 meters of the home zone upon drop-off. So that is the operating principle right now. So because why we do 500 meters? Because some of you might have street parking wherein there are only limited spots of free parking. So the guest may not be able to drop off at the exact same address, and will have to look for another free parking. So they are prompted to go for free parking within 500 meters of the home zone if your car is on dedicated, if your car is on street parking. If that, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and Remy confirmed that was what he was asking.
Yeah.
500 meters. 500 meters is okay. Cool. 500 meters. Yeah. I guess
that's what I mean. We didn't invent this.
That's what it is.
We also did 500 meters. So that's what we did.
Yeah, no problems.
And maybe one thing that we want to share before we close off from our end, and again, if there's any questions, then just let us know. I think one thing that we're also very proud of, besides, let's say, the DriveMate 2.0, which was a very big thing, is something that Jake has worked on. Let's say when it comes to airport parking, you may have seen it in the news. It was written in different news outlets that DriveMate has a car sharing hub next to Sydney Airport that we have secured. Now we have sent out emails to some hosts, and there's been a lot of demand for it, which is great, right? So hosts that do see the advantage of having a car parked with keyless access next to Sydney Airport, especially right now in the holiday season. So this is something that we have seen, really good. We expect a lot from it and from those type of things, but we are always trying to see what can we do, and if there are ideas, or if you have any connections in other parts of Australia where we could do something similar. We are very keen to do this. Right now we're exploring it. Sydney, that is a first car share hub. We are next to the airport, really good. And if you want to know anything more about it, just reach out to us, and we're happy to share what we can.
And let's hope it's the first of many others with the other airports as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. We want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, and see you probably in person in the new year. If there's anything, we are still 365, 24/7 available as a platform. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.